When I say our customer on GCC, there is many things that are turned on by default that are not turned on in commercial. You have to go turn it on. Log retention is bigger on GCC. So that are already predefined. Even the auditors start, hey, I am on GCC. You already know, okay, you're in the cloud.
Welcome to Trust Issue by BEMO, the podcast where we go beyond checkbox compliance and get real about security. In every episode, we will break down what's happening in the world of CMMC, cybersecurity, and GRC, straight from the people building, auditing, and living it. Real conversation about real security.
So today we're going to talk about the couple different options. There's lots of different solutions on how DoD contractors can get to CMMC level 2, right? There's kind of a lot of different technical ways to get there. It's not going to look like the same path for everybody, and each one kind of comes with their own financial implications, kind of like corporate strategy, if you will. So maybe Bruno, you want to talk about kind of what are the four emerging solutions that DoD contractors are going to have in order to become CMMC level 2 compliant?
So I think every company as part of, I want to be CMMC compliant, and I think as a business is why do you want to be there? And again, because based on your reason. So again, if you're a company that only work for the government, it's one thing. Yes, you should go into a government cloud and all that because the only thing you do is government. If now you are a small business and you hope to get maybe your first contract, or you are going to maybe you don't need to move the entire company. So it all depends on what we do. And so from our perspective, we have 4 options that we see with our customers. So let's talk about the first one. The first option is when you're a small business, and I would say BEMO fall into it, where on our side, we don't have contract with the US Department. We are an MSSP where our customers, need to be CMMC. But from us, BEMO ourselves, we don't have any CUI. Okay? So from our perspective BEMO, we are on a Microsoft 365 commercial, and we use Prevail as an enclave, and it's where, if we have any CUI, where we'll put our CUI. So we don't have to do any migration. The CUI only goes into that enclave, and with that, we can still pass the CMMC.
So option 1, to become CMMC level 2 compliance is you're on Microsoft 365 commercial tenants. You're probably using like a M365 E5. You still have to go do all the security controls, do everything on Intune, MFA, all that type of stuff. But then you use a third-party solution called Prevail for your CUI enclave, right? What is a CUI enclave? Why does a solution like Prevail exist?
It exists because, again, if you're on a Microsoft commercial doesn't have the security level to host CUI. So again, it's where do you put it? So if you have any CUI, think of Prevail as I'm trying to make it simple. It's the same as your Dropbox, your OneDrive, where, you go there and you can post your CUI there, and it's fully controlled. It's hosted on a cloud, on a government cloud. I think they use AWS cloud on their side, but again, it goes there, and your data is safe. So it's not, you don't share CUI on Microsoft SharePoint or OneDrive or email. This you cannot.
Okay. And so basically this option seems to be like maybe the most cost effective. It's probably the cheapest solution out there. It's the cheapest solution. But this probably works mostly with for-profit commercial businesses that don't necessarily do too much work with the governments and aren't like I should say, your business is at 90+%
exactly
government revenue.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go on to option 2. What's an option 2?
Option 2, me, is personally the one I prefer of all of them. You see, option 4 is maybe the best one, but the most expensive. But I think cost effectiveness, option 2 is the one I prefer. So option 2 is you stay on a Microsoft commercial, but you use AVD. So you use AVD.
What's AVD?
So yeah, Azure Virtual Desktop. So again, you get your
A cloud
virtual
PC.
environment. Okay. And so again, I am today on my Microsoft hosted commercial cloud. So I am on my E5 on my laptop, and I can go there and remotely connect to a virtual desktop that is hosted on government cloud. I cannot do any cut and paste between my laptop. I'm truly on a fully controlled environment, and it's where I do my defense work, my CUI work. It's where I do that, and it's very, very controlled. Again, it's very safe when I play it. So again, the advantage of this one is, again, and we see with some customers, you have a company of 200 people, only 20 of them are going to work on defense work. Okay, and by doing that, again, you have created this. It's almost you have your commercial world and your defense world, and your defense world is very virtual and controlled.
Right. And you're able to essentially continue to work from one laptop. There's not maybe as much change management involved because there's no migration to GCC. You're going to maintain two environments. So the benefit, right, to the end user is you sort of continue to work the way you did. You now have this Azure Virtual Desktop that you remote into that is also going to have, Microsoft 365 G5, which is the government version of E5. And you're still going to have to secure that environment, right? And do, all the security controls and all that stuff and from that environment. But from an end user perspective, it's kind of nice. From an IT perspective, everything is this whole solution is incremental cost because now you're maintaining two identities, you're maintaining double the duplicative number of licenses, and you have to go, if you got to do something in Intune one place, you got to do it Intune in another place, right?
Yes. So yeah,
okay.
So good summary.
Why do you like this solution?
I like that solution because, at the end of the day, it's really, again, if I'm a small business, I don't have to do, as we will talk in option 4, where I have to migrate everyone to the cloud. There is no migration. I can scale up and down if I have, I need to add people to my team or remove. Again, it's very easy. It's very controlled. So again, I think I prefer that than option 1. Again, from a private, again, it's different option, but I feel like, again, if I do defense work, I connect, everything is there, and I know it's only for defense work.
Right. You can download a file and the file is fine. You don't have to figure out like, okay, how do I get this into Prevail?
Exactly. And, we don't. So again, it's just, it's fine for me. It's me personally, it's a mindset. I start, I do my defense work. I do whatever.
Option 3, similar to option 2, option 3 is you have two separate computing environments.
Yep.
So you still have your
physical laptop. So you have your
two physical laptops.
Yep. You have one laptop connected to commercial, Microsoft commercial, and the other one connected to the cloud.
Right.
So it's pretty much the same one as option 2 as virtual, but here is now a physical device.
Right. So essentially, you can either option 2 and option 3, you're both going to have a commercial Microsoft 365 tenant and a GCC Microsoft tenant. But the difference is that instead of logging into an Azure Virtual Desktop environment, IT will have to have two physical laptops and essentially maintain those via Intune and then do all the physical security and all that stuff for two separate environments.
So the main difference between 2 and 3, one is virtual and one is physical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why would some people prefer to do option 3? Like what do you think the difference is from IT teams?
You may sometimes have to go work from a place where, maybe the internet connection is not as good. That's what you would need.
You work in the field, right?
You work in a field. You work, again, it's just, there's many reasons why, or some people don't like, I want my laptop. So again, it's a lot of preference, pros, cons, and, so again, it's more.
Yeah. Can you work offline? Can you not work? All the main drawbacks around virtualized environments, right? Okay. Option 4.
And option 4 is you just do business on GCC. So again, either you're already on GCC, then great, you have nothing to do, you are ready, you can start your compliance there. Or you are on Microsoft commercial and you have to do a migration. We migrate you from commercial to Gov. And so again, this is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work to do so at the beginning, right? It's a lot of obviously any migration, especially if you're 50, 100, 200 plus users, right? You got to get everything in SharePoint, Teams, and emails, and all that stuff. You also got to redo all the security policies.
Yes. And here we are assuming you are coming from Microsoft to Microsoft, but we have customers that come from Google. So now you come from Google and we are going to be moved to Microsoft world. Not only now you have to the change of application you use. So this is the worst case scenario where people will hate BEMO for the first 3 months because why did you move me from Google to Microsoft? So first is we don't make the decision, the customer makes the decision. So they are very pissed at the person that made the decision at the customer.
It seems like option number 4, it makes the most sense if you are primarily a defense contractor, right? Like that is the business. You just do it. You don't really have this mix of commercial and whatever. There's no 2 environments. You don't have to pay twice, or I should say, reoccurring subscriptions perspective. From an IT complexity, it's a lot simpler because there's just one environment.
But
right?
by default, again, this is the best one. By far,
yeah.
This is the best. But it depends where you come from.
Right. It depends where you come from. It depends what kind of business you have. Like if you're primarily a defense contractor, then it just sort of makes a lot of sense. Just go do it. Just run the whole business on it. Just go do it.
It's worth the headache at the beginning for the long-term gain.
Yeah, it's worth the one-time fees because in the end, you're going to pay back all those one-time fees by maintaining 2 environments anyway.
Yes.
Right.
And then you don't have to deal. You don't have to deal with all the options before, and
Right. Okay. Maybe let's talk about some of the drawbacks from some of these options. So number 1, in option number 1, where you're still in a commercial tenant using Prevail, one of the comments that's come up is, what about like CUI spill risk, right? Because for example, some customers say, well, in order for me to access the CUI and get it into like a Prevail or something, I would have to go download it, which immediately I have to go download it onto my commercial tenants, which I shouldn't be able to do. Or there's more like end user change management, like I think in theory,
when you are in option 1, 2, 3, in all the options where you are not 100% cloud, you always have the risk of user error. Yeah. So at the end is user error. So from our side, again, we put a lot of DLP, we put a lot of, security control to make sure it doesn't happen. But at the end, you have more user risk. Okay. So to avoid no potential user error between the 2 things, go with option 4. But this is your risk of, And again, I believe we see it. Again, we use it on BEMO. Again, we do all the testing. We have all the DLP and all of that to make sure this doesn't happen. The labeling, so you cannot. So again, I think it's, I will never say it's impossible to happen, but it's very low risk. But there is always a risk when you are under 2,
Right. What about if you need to be on GCC high, do you still have the same 4 options?
Good question. I will not know for the option 1. Again, it depends on what are you trying to get with, it's not the GCC high, is to which framework do you want to be compliant? Okay. So from my perspective, GCC high, you just go with the last option. I mean,
right. Like you're probably doing, sensitive enough work.
You are doing stuff again. It's not a side, it's not a side business anymore. Sorry for.
Yeah.
No, but it's real. Now it's something, you are in a serious business from my perspective.
Right.
So it's just like.
Right. With the government. Yeah.
No, it's where it's just like,
Yeah. You're probably in option at that point. You're probably in options like 3 or 4 at that point where it's just
your option.
People
4.
just. Yeah.
I will not take you. I will not take you if you will, I guess we never had that question because before all the people that come with that option, they are already all on the cloud. I guess I never had
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, it's true. There's a lot of people that are already on GCC high, right? Like
yes,
they're
exactly. When they come
when they're doing
so,
that kind of work.
So I was surprised that I never got that question. I am on, can I? So
what are cost considerations? Like is going with like an AVD environment, is that going to be a lot more expensive than simply going to GCC? Like what is it? What's like the extra cost of having to maintain an AVD?
no, I think you think, tell me if I'm correct, it's about think of a $50 per user per month, something for a company of,
Just for the virtual environment, right? So you're probably looking at, let's say you want to spin up essentially this virtual environment on Azure Gov Cloud, right? You're probably looking at $40 to $50 per month just for Azure Virtual Desktop. And then you're probably looking at another, $40 to $60 per month for the M365, like G3 or G5, right? Like those licenses. And then after, obviously, you also need to have your IT people need to be able to like go implement those controls right afterwards. So yeah, $100 ish minimum per user per month for however many people you want to maintain on that environment. So yeah, if you're looking to have just like 10 people on that environment, it's $1,000 a month, basically.
So again, it's $1,000 versus moving the whole company. Again, think depending on the size of the company, a migration could cost you 50 to 100,000 if I had to migrate from the,
Yeah. Yeah.
So again,
it just kind of comes down to like, what is the strategic investment in the defense world, right? Like from your contracts perspective.
We had customers that we talked this month against of people like, hey, I want to try. I'm not sure I have to be CMMC yet, but maybe let me prep first in case I need. I will have my environment almost ready. And if I get the go, let's go through the compliance process. But at least and if not, I waste my $1,000 a month, but at least,
Yeah, I do feel like that is an interesting option where there's a handful of clients that they think they're going to have to be CMMC level 2 compliant, but they don't know yet. And so what they're doing is they're spinning up this Azure Virtual Desktop environment within Gov Cloud, and then they're going through the motions of securing it and doing everything to be compliant with, NIST or DFARS 7012, right? But they're not going through with the internal audit. They're not going through with the external audit. They're sort of just getting it ready. Maybe they're plugging it into like a GRC platform like Drata. They're writing the policies. They have their SSP. They're sort of doing the background work so that the moment someone tells them to go, they'll be within, let's call it 6 months-ish of being compliant, right?
So I think in this case, now you go to the next one. You have 2 separate computers. Well, you have the computer. So
$2,000.
$2,000, again per users, and the license, and so. But you pay the license both sides. The IT is the same,
But it's a lot more bandwidth on. Well, obviously CMMC is a lot more than just IT, but it really doubles the bandwidth, or not doubles the bandwidth.
The advantage of the virtual, I can deploy a virtual environment in minutes. A laptop, I have to order it, I have to prep it, give it to you. Again, it's not just the laptop cost, it's everything that goes onboarding, offboarding. You leave, I have to go get your laptop. In a virtual environment, I kill your environment.
Yeah. I would imagine from a CMMC like audit scope perspective, it's probably a lot easier on the audit side to have the virtualized environments because you don't have to prove all the physical security stuff. It's another headache, right?
So again, it's so again, if we go back, the cheapest is the first one with Prevail, but with a lot of limitation. Number 2 is the virtual one. Again, I find so it's why. For me, my favorite is 4, and after that will be number 2. Number 3, I find, again, just the IT work that is
annoying. It's annoying.
Yeah. If you are people of 50 and, and 20 of them are in your defense group. You have to buy, 70 laptops,
Yeah.
and it's just, so.
Did I leave it somewhere? Did I lose it? It's just,
yeah.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's all thing.
Yeah.
And and the last one is the cheapest once you have been migrated, so to maintain, but you have the big one-time cost. And the one is a one-time cost. The second is there's a transition. Again, when we do migration at BEMO, you plan it for 3 months, you do it, and you have a cutover date. And, it's just, after that, for 1 week, people we see they are still used to trying to connect to the old thing. Oh, no, you cannot. It's a new one. It's just, it's the human,
When it comes to the CMMC audit itself, why does being on, let's say, does it make a difference for ease of audit, whether you're on GCC or doing the commercial plus Prevail? Are there certain things that just simply being on a GCC tenant will make it easier?
And I see from when we look, again, as I said, BEMO, we are on commercial plus Prevail. But when I see our customer on GCC, there is many things that are turned on by default on GCC that are not turned on in commercial. So in commercial, you have to go turn it on. You have to, log retention is bigger on GCC. Just, stuff that are already predefined. And even the auditors start, hey, I am on GCC. Okay, you already know, okay, you're in the cloud. It's just.
Anything else you want to touch on this topic, or I think we're good?
No, I think for me, what I would say on that topic also is think now on the audit. Again, from the what's in scope. So you are going to do your CMMC audit, what's in scope. So again, if I take the first one with Prevail, so you are going to have in scope your entire Prevail environment and all your endpoint. Okay? You're also going to get, how can I say? Again, it will look at your Entra, so all your Entra ID, your MFA, all your admin account, your SIM, And so again, so the only thing that, we should be out of scope is your SharePoint, OneDrive, team on your commercial because you are using Prevail. Okay? So this kind of the scope of if you're on a number two, number two is with AVD. Well, the advantage is now your entire endpoint are out of scope. So this is again one thing. The thing, again, so it's one
just
big,
one thing, one very big thing.
Yes, all the physical devices are out of scope because again, you are proving that you cannot do cut and paste between the systems. There's no CUI download, no clipboard.
Right. There's no USB. There's none of that.
Exactly.
Stuff. Yeah.
So this is gonna now. Option 3, at the end, yes, your commercial is not in scope, but everything on Gov is in scope. So all your device, pretty much as the same as if you are in 4 on a fully GCC tenant, where everything is in scope.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the difference of
the differences. Okay, great.
That is another episode of Trust Issue. In this conversation, help you think differently about compliance, security, or trust. Share it to help someone who is still stuck in a checkbox mode. Each week, we will keep bringing you more episodes, resources, and real-world insight from the BEMO team. Wherever you are listening from, don't forget to rate the podcast and follow us to stay up to date on the latest development in the GRC space. Remember, compliance gets you certified, but real security, that earns trust. Thank you for listening.